Welcome to the Relationships Inside Out podcast with Doctors Gregory Siebert and Kimberly Murray, licensed marriage and family therapists. Join them on this journey as they explore the ins and outs of relationships.
Welcome to Relationships Inside Out, where today we're going to talk about why we're not connecting when we're spending time with our loved ones.
I think if we just go on a date, okay, we're going to Chili's. It's going to be so much fun. We're
Are
going
you
to
getting paid
connect.
to advertise for that?
Yeah, I love Chili's. That's what I think of. We think it's going to be such a good time because we're getting away from our kids and we're going to feel so connected and romantic. Then we go through the date and we're no more connected than we were. We got a break from our children or work or whatever.
Yeah.
But are we actually more connected?
Yeah. I mean, when's the last time we've had a memorable date when someone can think about that? Like, when was the last one and why was it? And you just said we get away from work. That's part of the reason why we can't connect is because some people can't get away from work while
True.
they're at this place.
Or your cell phones or TikTok
Yeah.
or whatever, right? The things that rile you up.
Even when you're talking and processing work.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of couples where like, well, we went on a date and I was like, great. Was it connecting? Well, why not? What'd you do? And they talked about work and they connected through bitching,
Mm-hmm.
which there's a time and place for that. When you're trying to connect, does not do that.
No, I tell couples you get 5 minutes. Set a timer. You're going to want to go past the 5. Set a timer. When that timer's done, you're done bitching. Because when we are complaining, when we're in a state of processing negative things, we're increasing our cortisol. Cortisol works in opposition of oxytocin or a bonding hormone.
Yeah.
If you want to bond and connect with your partner, you cannot be bringing in heavy, toxic things like work or even parenting struggles or in-laws.
Yeah.
Right? Think about if I want to feel sexy about my partner, what are the things I talk about? What are the things I don't? Right? I'm not thinking like, I want to feel sexually drawn to my partner. I want to feel in love with my partner. So I'm going to talk about my mother-in-law. No, you're not. If you have that pause of, okay, does this actually promote me getting close to them? I think it can really help shape the topics we talk about.
And I get it because sometimes when we're externally processing work and then we feel
Sure.
better, you might feel better in that regard.
Sure.
But you're not connected.
Sure.
Like, is it sexy when our partners complain about work? No.
No.
Do you think about engaging in being intimate with them after we complain about work?
No.
Yeah. One of the biggest issues I find is that these dates tend to be automatic. Let's go to dinner. Like, one, they're nothing that's novel that would excite you.
Mm-hmm.
And two, we're not present.
Sure.
So like, say we go to dinner and you take those intentions. Those are great because conceptually it's like, we get a break. But when you're done, your cup's not full. Well, are you present? Like, what are you talking about? And a lot of times we're not focused on our partner. We're not engaging in curiosity, especially couples who've been together for a while. There's a lot of assumptions running. Oh, I already know how their day was. I don't even know what to ask.
Mm-hmm.
If
There's
you-
nothing new. I don't have anything else to learn.
If you went to your boss at work and you said, oh, I don't know how to do this project, you better go fucking learn.
Mm-hmm.
So what keeps you from looking up cool questions to ask your partner? There's literally apps of what to ask a partner on a date
Absolutely.
and things to do. So if you can do that at work, why aren't you doing that for your relationship? Be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Find ways to be intentionally present.
Mm-hmm.
What's better than eye contact? And I mean, because even body language is important in this stuff.
Where your belly button points is where your attention's going to be.
Even like the eye contact and smiling with each other.
Mm.
I mean, how many times do you go out in couples where they're on their phones, they're looking down, they're distracted with a TV in the background? I mean, this is more like a date or like a dinner, right?
Our episode
Often.
on phubbing, phone snubbing, where
Yeah.
I'm looking more at my phone screen than I'm looking at my partner.
It's fascinating because there's like this narrative out there that if we go to dinner, then we're on a date and we've invested in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But did you make the most out of that investment?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The same is true not just for toxic things like work, but kids. Kids often get triangulated into marriages, right? When a baby's born, our focus goes from just A and B to now C, the child. And that's good, right? We have to take care of our kids. But can we have a relationship separate from our children? We don't give enough credence to that part of we still are a married couple, not just involved in our kids. And when we talk about our kids, okay, going back to my example, okay, if you want to have sex with your partner, thinking about your children, is that going to help you? Nope. At least I hope not. Right? It doesn't help to promote it. It may help produce oxytocin because you're bonded with your kids. But if you want arousal and attraction and that deeper connection that is special to romantic partnerships, You've got to get away from these othering topics, these distracting topics, work, politics, kids, what your friends doing. You should be talking about things like your relationship, your dreams, your needs, your fears, your hopes.
Yeah.
Get a little bit deeper and focus on the A and the B.
And not, I always tell couples, do not bring up any problems or gripes. I think about relationships, there's parts, right? We have a
Mhm.
part that we enjoy about each other. We love each other. Then you have a part where there's conflict going on.
Sure.
Go out. Don't talk about the conflict piece. Find ways that you can connect and that you have before that brought you guys together, which typically isn't happening because a lot of couples will go and then they'll bitch about something or complain about something. Like it's rare that you'll hear, it's so hot that they don't like what our kid did. I'm glad that we join on that. Like, I love this person. Not happening. It's just the expectation we have just because we do something, therefore we should
Mhm.
experience. And I guess I'm like a little frustrated because I feel like we're lazy as shit.
Truth.
We are so lazy with our relationships. We talked about
Take
this.
them for granted.
We very much take it for granted. I mean, granted, it's a person we're comfortable with. And then if we're comfortable, we feel like we can be imperfect, but not to the point where we become complacent. We've had episodes where we talked about complacence. We've talked about episodes where it's like you can literally get up to your alarm every day for work,
Mhm.
but what's the effort you put into the relationship?
Facts.
But when we're on dates, be intentional. There's literally apps of questions to ask. And there might be things that you don't know about your partner because guess what? You've never asked. Being curious is a huge way to feel connected.
Mhm.
What feels more validating when my partner's curious about me and why they're curious? They're making eye contact. They're asking follow-up questions. That's a huge one.
Mhm.
Ask a question and then turn it to you. Damn it, they don't want to know more about me.
Truth.
So being conscientious of reciprocity.
Mhm.
Typically one partner takes up space. The other one is not somebody who does and they're comfortable not. Share that space, share that time, share the amount of questions you're asking each other.
Sometimes we assume there's nothing left to learn, nothing left to discuss. I've been with my partner for almost 20 years. There's still things to learn and to discuss, right? Whether it's changes in his perspective, things about his childhood I didn't know, if it's worries he has, right? I think about here in the United States, a lot of things are up in the air socially and politically. Those are worries maybe he didn't have a few months ago. And so talking about even some of those worries, stay on those topics because again, it brings in that cortisol, but giving space to focus just on my partner, make eye contact with my partner, ask how I can support them in those worries, ask what we can do as a team to feel like we're in it together can be really powerful because at home, when the kids are running around and we're trying to get everyone fed and bath time, he's not going to sit down and say, hey, I'm worried about our economic future, or I'm worried about this, that, or the other, or this is what I need from you.
Yeah.
We have to set that intentional time to talk about those topics. Since we can't talk about it with our kids running around and all the things, we have to plan for it. We have to show our partner that we care about them, that we're interested, invested in them by carving out this time without distraction.
So intention.
Yes, it's huge.
I think in another episode, you call it State of the Union.
I do a State of the Union address,
Yeah.
but those I typically do at home on Sundays where even sometimes kids are involved where we talk about finances, planning for the week, the more
Yeah.
logistical pieces, but it could go along with that.
On dates. Yeah. So another thing that I find that is helpful for couples that are trying to punctuate these moments where they're connected is novelty,
Mhm.
right? So if it's novel, we naturally are inclined to be more present. And so some couples have gotten like activity wheels and there's some dry erase ones on Amazon and they can make up their own activities and they spin it and they choose one from the top 3.
You can do popsicle sticks where you write out adventures
Yeah.
you want to try and then you pull one.
Yeah. And there's even, if you don't want to write it or think about it, there's already stuff out there.
Mhm.
It doesn't take much effort to find these things, but just schedule spontaneity. So I have them schedule spontaneity. It sounds oxymoron, but it helps because there's this sense of redundancy that we all experience through the week and work and kids and stuff. But trying to break up the week with spontaneity, now you have something to look forward to. And it's novel, then you're more likely to connect. And you don't even have to go out of the house, right? Some of this, like one of the activities that came up when we were talking about this with my clients was spa day at home.
I love that.
So they sent the kids off and they just had spa day at home and they went and got the things and the hot towel warmer, like, I mean, all this stuff. And it's like, that's exciting. Something to look forward. They're engaged. They're planning it together. There's a lot of opportunity for connection in there.
Cooking together, painting together. The key here is sometimes adding an activity, not just sitting for a meal, right? a meal, we move through it, and then we're done. What if you do something like here we have something called board and brush, where you paint a project together, a wood project. Maybe you could try a dance class or a cooking class, something that gets you out of your zone and involves teamwork or engagement together, not just parallel existence.
Or I don't know why my mind went here, but as you were talking about something earlier, especially conversation at the table, like even if something comes up and we're being curious, which is great, I forgot to add the caveat is don't have judgment about their response.
What they say, facts.
I mean, because say they do say something like, where are you at now with all the political stuff going on? Which that's a very slippery slope. And they say something you don't agree with, there goes,
There goes evening.
oh yeah, we feel connected. They were cussing at me, they threw the napkins everywhere, and they put ketchup on my food, and they know I don't like ketchup, so now my meal was ruined.
Or they just stonewalled and said it's fine, which is just as bad.
It's fine.
My favorite phrase.
Or sure.
Yeah,
Okay, sure.
okay. And then back to the phone. Right? We have to give it effort,
Mhm.
not just half-ass it because we've been together 20 years and it's fine.
Or expect to have connection naturally, right? I mean, early on when your relationship's novel, much easier.
Mhm.
As life goes on, we take it for granted, and at least
Bored.
American culture steps in, and it's like work. Your life is work, and that becomes priority.
And then children. Your marriage is
Yeah.
somewhere behind everything else.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if you can, and if you don't, then it's work, and somewhere it's taken away from the relationship. Relationship tends to take a back seat, and we wonder why we're not connected. Even in the media, like what do they do for dates? Dinners, movies,
Again, parallel play.
walk in the park, but then they're distracted. I mean, are they talking? There's not a lot of good examples out there how couples can be intentional
Mhm.
while they're out to eat. I mean, this is your partner, and trying to get rid of that assumption that you know everything about them and just saying, like, what can I learn new?
Mhm, mhm. How can I show them I care? And finding out how they experience care. We've talked about love languages before, but how do I show my partner care in his way? Not my way, his way. So for him, it's physical touch. It might be, for me, it's acts of service. I've said this before.
Mhm.
Nothing sexier than a man that shampoos my carpet, period. Full stop. That's my thing. For him, it's physical touch, but it's also words of affirmation.
When he's shampooing your carpet, is he wearing like a maid outfit,
He can wear whatever the fuck he wants. I don't care. As long as I don't have to do it, don't care.
fireman outfit while shampooing the carpet?
It's the help. It's
Yeah.
the showing that he cares because he knows my time is tight. I can show him how he cares in his way, right? If I expect him to receive a clean house the way I receive a clean house, I'm going to miss the boat.
So what you're bringing up here too is an indirect way of connection.
Mm.
Maybe we should talk about what does connection mean? Because I guess it could mean essentially different things.
At the core, it's caring about your partner, showing that you care in a way they can hear it and see it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is together on a date. Sometimes it's, man, I know my partner is really busy or stressed today, so I'm going to have a bath ready for them when they get home. And while they're in the bath, I'm going to give them a foot massage, or I'm going to sit next to the bath, or I'm going to give them space. Maybe space is the
Yeah.
answer. That still shows connection because I've now tuned into you without you having to tell me,
And not like, oh, I'm space because I'm my own shit
right?
intentionally. So I got a good friend that actually I've noticed that their main way of connecting with their partner, a big one, not the only way, but is when their partner gives them time to engage in their hobbies without fuss, without criticism, without judgment, and is supportive. And it actually does the at the inverse, and it actually, because he's connected, wants to spend more time
Truth.
and enjoys it. It sounds counterintuitive, but
Because
that's
you're getting self care, you get to decompress.
yeah,
A decompressed body is much more likely to connect than a body that's wound.
and being supported to go
Yes.
decompress.
Without judgment,
Yeah,
without, okay, it's been long enough,
what's your time? Yeah,
right? Let the partner have space to be. There's that old saying that says distance makes the heart grow fonder. And I think that's where this comes from. Sometimes space, doing our own thing, endorsing that we're doing our own thing in a loving way does make us miss our partner or think about them or want to be around them rather than just taking for granted that they're in our orbit all the time.
one thing we had mentioned before we even recorded this episode that I think was that you said that was I feel is very important is how mental illness plays a role in our ability to connect.
Yeah.
And I'll even share a personal example. So my wife, I feel her main way to connect is eye contact, sitting down and being curious.
Mhm.
She really loves that. And when I get distracted, she can tell. And having been in the military, diagnosed with PTSD, it's very hard to stay focused and be present sometimes.
Sure.
And that can impact my ability to connect
100%.
unintentionally.
Anxiety, depression,
Anxiety.
postpartum depression, all of these can impact, even ADHD
Yeah.
can impact our ability to be present. If I was once present, right, I was attentive to my partner, but now I struggle with it. It's time to self-examine what's getting in the way. Maybe I'm bored in the relationship. Maybe it is something about the partner, but maybe it's something about me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not taking care of my physical health, my mental health the way I should.
Mm.
And thus my body isn't able to even give that energy to another person.
And when we get in that place where we don't have the capacity to do so, we tend to get automatic.
Mhm.
And this is where, again, we're not being intentional about connecting because we're not present, because we're running on fumes and autopilot. And we're not really paying attention to, is it really connecting with my partner? Is it really hitting them in the same way?
Mhm, mhm.
Like, here's dinner. And
Or let's sit at the table
Yeah.
and just do the usual, right?
yeah,
That's just mundane. We say that you have to connect with yourselves before you can connect with someone else. You have to take time to get to know yourself, to love on yourself, to give back to yourself before you can do any of that for anyone else.
have the resources. Yeah. And this is where mental illness, work on yourself. Going back, you talked about the different ones that can impact it. Anxiety is such a one.
Yeah.
And this is what I feel is a huge culprit to not being present. Why are minds at work? And what did they say? And what just happened? And I can't tell,
Insecurities in the marriage and myself.
I can't tell how many couples I have that when they go drive to a date, they can't be present because they're so pissed off at the traffic on the
Yes.
way.
We're worried about the kids.
Yeah. So whether that's anxiety because there's a lot of stuff happening and they're fearful, or they're angry, whether that's massive anxiety, but
In any case, if your mental health needs support, that's got to come first.
Yeah.
If you're depressed, your ability to connect is going to be very slim.
can you imagine going on a date, driving, and you're raging, road raging, and they get to dinner, like, let's connect, babe.
It takes a minute for that brain to come back down, and the partner's probably looking at you like, wait, what?
Wait, you just wanted to murder everyone.
So we really have to focus on not just connecting with our partner, connecting with ourselves.
Yeah.
Getting in tune with what's our role in this connection and why it's not happening. We have to pay attention to, this is a dynamic system. We both hold a part, and the space between us is a separate part.
And part of us talking about the illness being a role is also to show compassion when our partner may not be in the best place to show reciprocity and connection.
Sure.
But that's a discussion, that's a conversation. I mean, obviously, it's just repeated over years and years or months and months where there's not reciprocity. That's a different story. But that's also being curious. That's another way to connect, even if it's not on something so glamorous.
Sure.
But it's even our partner suffering and we're connecting on that and being there and supportive and being curious about the experience in of itself, good or bad, is connected.
At the core, you have to put in the time, the energy, the effort consistently. Don't take your partner for granted. Connect with them, connect with yourself. Your relationship will do nothing but benefit from that effort.
Don't be lazy.
Yes. Well, as always, we just love hosting this podcast. If you didn't listen to our last episode, we have a new set, so please check that out on YouTube. Let us know what you think. If anyone has any questions or topic suggestions, please let us know at relationshipsinsideout@gmail.com. Thanks.
Thanks.